I think we're live. We live, everyone. Yes, we are. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new stream, and that is right. We are live on this beautiful March 15th, 2024. I hope everyone's having a phenomenal day, night, afternoon, midnight, wherever you are in the world. I'm starting to have a great day myself. And it is time, everyone, for a live discussion on the 2024 Ohio Senate race. Now, I am just by myself tonight. No James, no Tyrone. None of the crew, it's just me tonight. And we will be discussing what's happening in Ohio, debunking some conspiracies, debunking myths, all that good stuff. But first, before we continue with today's video, I should say today's stream, I hope you enjoy these type of streams. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated. And of course, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, or just want to support the channel even further, the best way to send a super chat via, well, the chat. Again, I'll try to read through as much of chat as possible, but usually super chats are the best way to get them answered. And already we got a super chat. A Glitch Eevee for 2. Here, take the donation. Thank you very much, good sir. Alright, everybody. It is that time. It's time. I think it's next Tuesday is election night in Ohio. So we're only 4 days away. And it is really a two-man race at this point. Yes, Frank LaRose is still in the race, but does he have any shot of winning? I mean, he's pulling at like 15% or something like that. It's pathetic for a Secretary of State, but either way, he is basically out of the race. It's going to come down to Matt Dolan or Bernie Moreno. And let me be clear about one thing. I don't necessarily support Bernie Moreno. I've always just been, hey, I'm just anti-Matt Dolan. Matt Dolan, in my opinion, sucks. But if he does end up winning next Tuesday, which we'll get to in a minute, I would support him. But I'm going to argue today why I think Matt Dolan is the weaker candidate from Bernie Moreno. And I know a lot of people are going to see it about, oh, how dare you say that? The polling data shows otherwise and all of that. Well, we're going to use the logic of these people and why Matt Dolan is the electable candidate and expose it using their own logic. Not my opinion, though. Some of it is my opinion, but either way, we're going to use the same logic as these people use with Matt Dolan, explain why, in Ohio, their strategy doesn't work. Ben Cynics for 5. Per Benny Johnson on X, the RNC will be working with Scott Presler. I did see that. That's a good development. Again, Scott Presler, really good guy. He does his best, especially with no money. I mean, the guy had no resources, and, well, he's doing a damn good job. He's trying his best, and now he's finally getting some resources. Yeah, I think he's a good option for probably voter outreach, getting people registered to vote. And you guys see that Laura Trump tonight announced, or not tonight, today, or was it last night? It was one of the two. Either way, she said the RNC is going to start registering voters at UFC fights, at NASCAR races, etc. My question is, why hasn't the RNC been doing that for 5 years now? Why? I mean, think about that for a second. You're now going to start getting new voters at these events that we know a lot of them aren't registered and a lot of them are conservative. The RNCs make a huge step forward this past week. I really think so. I think we're finally getting an RNC that knows what the hell they're doing. I mean, the fact that it's taken 5 years for them to do this is pathetic, but it seems like Laura Trump understands what you got to do. Cole Langdon for 2. Did Mike Johnson, does Mike Johnson would sell us out on Ukraine? What? Would Mike Johnson sell us out on Ukraine? I don't think so. I think that he's just going to hold the line as best as he can. If something does pass with the Ukraine stuff, it's out of his control. They're gonna pull some scam, the petition thing where they can pass it without the speaker. It's gonna be something like that. Yeah, that's absolutely where you find the most low propensity GOP voters. Brilliant move. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a younger and more diverse crowd, but they're probably more Republican leaning than, say, those that watch the NBA, for example. That should be the Republicans' NBA. UFC, college football, all of that. NASCAR. It's always been like that, but Republicans should use it. I mean, Democrats use the NBA to get new voters, you know. Oh, you register today at the NBA.com/voter, whatever. It's like, why can't we have the USC do the same thing? Where get out and vote, register at blah blah blah.com, you know? That's what I gotta say. Let's see. Breaking news, Scott Presser is now part of the RNC thanks to Laura Trump. Yeah, I mean, Laura Trump is keeping her promises. So much for these people that are saying that Laura Trump's a bad option because she's the daughter-in-law of Trump. Listen, I do have problems with putting Trump's kids in positions. But if it's like Laura Trump where she's trying and doing good stuff, who freaking cares? I mean, if you're good at your job, I don't care if you're the daughter-in-law, the stepson, your 15th cousin, it doesn't matter. If you're doing a good job, get the job. Duster Carter for 2. What are Republicans' honest chances of flipping the Ohio Senate seat? I think Republicans are slightly favored, but we'll get to it. Why I think, and I'm going to get a lot of shit show. It's going to be a shit show in chat, I think, but what I'm going to say. But I still think Bernie Moreno is a stronger candidate than Matt Dolan. Again, I did kind of bait some people today on Twitter where I said that he's the only one that would lose. You know, he has a 100% chance of losing. But thinking about it a bit more and how these people are acting about how he can win, well, I think the Matt Dolan strategy is stupid. And we'll get to that in a minute because these people on Twitter, they have no sense of Ohio politics. Again, you don't have to live in Ohio, obviously, but these people make up the most random shit. And it's like, really? Why would anyone want to debate what you're saying when you're just factually wrong? That, like, you're saying stuff that's not even true, and, like, you're misleading people about, oh, what percent of the vote X got in X county. It's like, whatever. All right, let us get into the, kind of the breakdown from Politico. The Republican Senate primary in Ohio has turned nasty, negative, and chaotic, again. The race to face Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown is a three-way contest between State Senator Matt Dolan, Business Executive Bernie Moreno, and Secretary of State Frank LaRose. And the relative peace that held for months of campaigning has been shattered by what has become an all-out brawl in the final leg of the campaign, which it was gonna happen. Listen, especially against Sherrod Brown, someone should have just dropped out. Make this a 1v1, or everyone drop out and get behind one person. Like, why they're doing this right before the primary, I hate this. Listen, you could campaign, that's one thing, but some of these attacks that some people are doing, I don't know. Moreno compared Dolan to anti-Trump Republicans like Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, and said LaRose will lie through his teeth to get political power, which, listen, is he wrong? Honestly, is he wrong about what he said about Dolan, and especially LaRose? Matt Dolan has a very suspect record. But Frank LaRose, he is the definition of a flip-flopper. You don't know what the guy actually believes. One day, he supports Trump, but the next day in private, I don't need Trump support, Orange Man is bad, he's done. So, you just start looking at these candidates and you realize Dolan has some very anti-Trump stuff. And if you don't think that's going to hurt him in Ohio, wake the hell up. Being an anti-Trump Republican, especially like Matt Dolan was, he's not pretending to be pro-Trump, but even Trump's not a fan of the guy. Which he might still support Dolan, but if you don't think in a Trump plus 8 state, the reason the Republicans win Ohio now, because of Trump, if you don't think that anti-Trump stuff is not going to hurt him, you don't know what you're talking about. And Frank LaRose, I don't freaking know what he believes in. Is he pro-life? Is he pro-choice? I don't freaking know. He's a garbage fundraiser. There's a lot of big question marks about Frank LaRose. Dolan called Moreno a phony, and he concluded that LaRose's mishandling of the constitutional amendment on abortion rights dismisses him from the race. And I agree with Dolan on this front. After what happened with the abortion referendum, they should have never ran this guy. Frank LaRose blew up his political career when he went all out on that stupid abortion referendum. And which ballot referendum was that again? Like 103 or something? Either way, it's like those two constitutional amendments killed the Rose. He banked his entire political future on that, and it backfired. In a sign of the last-minute chaos, a long-discussed story about an adult friend finder account linked to Moreno published on Thursday by the AP after bubbling on social media and behind the scenes for weeks. The episode raises the prospect of even more personal attacks over the final days, and I want to discuss this. So, as Politico says, there was a story that was leaked by the AP where allegedly Moreno had this very interesting account with a very fascinating website from 2008. Now, if you actually read what they said, again, the AP they made it sound like he was using it last week. It was opened in 2008, more than likely by his intern, and it was never used again. It's like, at that point in time, why report on it? Why? If you know it has been used in 15 years and the day after it was made, well, hold up a minute. Why are you making a big deal about that? Just think about that for a minute. Why would they make a big deal about something from 16 years ago that's so irrelevant? And when you look at the details, it's clear as day that it was just an intern. The intern admitted, by the way. The intern at least, he admitted that, hey, he made a mistake and he did it for a prank. Duster Carter for 2. Is politics be a career or making a name wrong? Well, what do you mean by that? Like, if you want to do politics as a career, that's fine, but doing it just to get your name out there, I don't know if that's a good idea. Because politics can be real bad, real bad. Despite the GOP's best efforts to avoid it, for the second straight election cycle, the Buckeye State is home to a bruising inter-party fight. One the Republicans worry could produce lasting damage to the eventual nominee and threaten their chance of flipping the seat and the Senate. The stakes are even higher than 2022 because there's an incumbent this time. The winner will have to take on the battle-tested Brown. It's pretty ugly, unfortunately. We're at the phase where there's a lot of negative advertising. I think, obviously, that will eventually harm the nominee, said J.D. Vance. The more negative dollars you spend attacking each other, the more it makes it harder. We certainly learned that the hard way. He's not wrong. I mean, we learned this in Pennsylvania. In Ohio, Vance won by 7, but, I mean, that was a pointless primary. The Pennsylvania primary was a disaster. If they got behind Oz, he probably would have won. There's a lot of problems, even with Blake Masters, or hell, even freaking Adam Laxalt. That primary was a waste of time. And yeah, he won the majority of the vote, but that Sam Brown did a lot of damage to Adam Laxalt. You could look more into it, but I agree, the RNC, or not the RNC, the NRSC should have stepped in. But here's the weird thing. People make it sound like that, oh, the NRSC, they knew what was happening with Moreno. They didn't want the guy. Really? If Moreno's such a garbage candidate, why didn't they Matt Rosendale him? Think about that for a minute. They worked day and night to avoid Matt Rosendale in Montana. But Steve Daines openly said, we like all 3 of our candidates in Ohio. Just put that in perspective. So, the NRSC was perfect on the Montana situation, but here, oh, they missed the mark. And that's why I'm saying this electability argument these people are using is total bullshit. You're telling me they cleared the field in Montana, basically in Wisconsin, in Arizona, but Ohio, they couldn't. You're telling me the one state that would flip the Senate, they couldn't unite behind one guy. You tell me they didn't know about this? You're telling me that, oh, they didn't have polling data? That's why I'm trying to tell people this electability argument for Dolan, it doesn't make much sense. If he's so electable, he's the clear frontrunner according to the internals, why did the NRSC make Trump endorse him? main three were already too anchored and well-funded, yes. Fine. But even then, Steve Daines had months to contact one of these guys and say, just drop out. If he had serious concerns about Bernie Moreno, he would have dealt with him. He's worked with Trump closely. He would have told Trump that, hey, I think Bernie Moreno is a weak candidate, blah, blah, blah. You just put two and two together. And we'll get to the Dolan stuff in a minute, because it's just, the more you think about it, it's like this grand conspiracy that, oh, Democrats a last-second ad place against Bernie Moreno. That means they want Moreno to be the candidate. And you actually watch the ad, it's like, they attack him for abortion, attack him for the Obamacare. It's like, wait. You're telling me they want the guy, but they're attacking him on issues that even Obamacare is kind of unpopular, even with even with Republicans? It just, this grand conspiracy is just stupid. This election cycle, Senate Republicans moved quickly to shut down ugly primaries and coalesce support behind the preferred candidates. It worked in other places, but not Ohio. The National Republican Senatorial Committee and its chair, Steve Daines, urged each of their three campaigns refrain from going negative until they felt it was absolutely necessary, according to a person familiar with the strategy. Party strategists were pleased if candidates honored that request for much of the contest. And that tells you everything. That tells you the NRSC, they don't really mind who's the nominee. They think, fine, whoever wins here has a good shot. Would the NRSC really want to sacrifice the Ohio Senate race? Would they really just stay back and let Bernie Moreno potentially win? That's why it's so just comprehensively stupid to even think like some of these people think. Now let us get into the one part everyone wants me to talk about. How the hell do you take down Sherrod Brown, excuse me? Because this is, I got an argument with a lot of people today on Twitter. Because a lot of people are saying that Matt Dolan is a clear frontrunner and the Democrats want Moreno because they had to add a call him a MAGA extremist and all of that. For one, they're not spending as much money as they did against Doug Mastriano. That's one thing. But you actually watch the ad, even if it's just for the primary, in a Trump plus 8 state, calling the guy the Trump-endorsed candidate, even in the general, that would help him. Plus, they also forget that they attacked him on Obamacare. So, pick one. Is it a bad thing to attack someone for being the Trump candidate in a Trump plus 10 state? Or is it a positive? You can't say it's only good for the primary. It's one of those things where it's just dumb. How they're saying the Democrats really want Moreno, but they wait until the last second. Either way, screw that for a second. Just ignore the Democrat stuff for a minute, because these people, they're attacking for being a MAGA extremist in Trump plus 8 states. Fine. That's somehow a net negative for Brown, that they secretly want Bernie Moreno. Fine. Let's just ignore that for a second. Sherrod Brown in 2018 won the race by 7 points. Take a guess how he won by so much. Chat, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me why Sherrod Brown won by so much. Because these people on Twitter, I'm not going to name them, they make it sound like it was through running up in Columbus and Cleveland and Cincinnati. So, just tell me, where did Sherrod Brown do so good at that he won by 7 in a Trump plus 8 state? Just go ahead. Notice anything odd about the map? Blue Wave 2018, yeah, of course there's a blue wave. But what part of the state gave him the victory? Dems call every Republican a MAGA extremist. I'll bring that up in a minute. Look at northeastern Ohio. Look at these areas. Look at these counties. All right? This part of the state here. Just for some perspective. Back in 2018, or not, 2020, just look at some of these areas. Ashtabula County. Trump won by 23. Sherrod Brown won by 2. He did 24 points better than Biden in this county. Mahoning County, Trump won by 2. He won by 21. 23 points. Let's just, let's go look here. Monroe County, I was looking at this earlier. Renacci won by 5, which is pathetic. Why? This county voted for Trump by 56 points. Hell, I have the swing map right here. This is the swing map of 2020 and 2018. Where did Brown do so much better in? What part of the state? Notice a clear correlation. Maryland Agati, 83 for 2. Do you think the ruling in Georgia will end Trump? We just got to see. It was pretty pathetic, but it's still early in the case. The case might not even go to trial. Who knows? Brown did 40, 50 points better than Clinton, Biden, in Monroe County. Yeah. But what part of the state did he do so much better in? Appalachia. Yeah, northeastern Ohio. And look what's won the least Democrat. The frickin' suburbs. These people on Twitter have promised me, oh, the election will come down to the suburbs. No. This election will come down to western Ohio, or I should say eastern Ohio. In particular, northeastern Ohio. This part of the state here will decide the election. It will. This part of the state, whoever wins this region, I think wins. Like, he does, like, let's say Moreno's the nominee. It doesn't mean he has to win a place like Summit. But just in general, whoever wins this region, not counting Cuyahoga, they're going to win the state more than likely. Appalachia. Well, that's what I said. Rap, do you think the bellwether counties will play much of a role in this election? Well, the thing about Ohio is I think it's more important to look at regions than anything. Because look up here. You look at some of these counties. Let's look at, what's a good one? Ottawa County. Sherrod Brown won by, 4 points? Trump won by 23. These are not suburban counties. Give me a frickin' break. You know what? Let's look at Hamilton County. Biden won by 16 points. Sherrod Brown, 19. This is where Cincinnati is. It barely moved. Same thing with Franklin. Biden won by 31. Sherrod Brown won by 36. It moved 3 points. Cuyahoga is the only county that shifted significantly Democrat of the major ones. Cuyahoga, Brown won by 45 points. Biden won by 34. This is the only county, the only large one, by the way, that moved left. But you know what's the difference between Cleveland and Columbus and Cincinnati? You know what the difference is? Actually, Delaware County, that's actually a good point. Delaware. Trump won by 7. Renacci won by 5. You know what the difference between Cuyahoga, Columbus, and Cincinnati is? Cleveland's a far more blue-collar city than especially Columbus. That's a fact. If you're going to deny that, might as well deny everything. Cleveland's a far more working-class area than Columbus. I mean, and also plus this part of the state, you know, Brown has always been strong here, but how can people look at this map and say, yep, it's a suburban problem? It is not a suburban problem. Yeah, it's in northeastern Ohio. So the whole theory that a lot of people are saying why Matt Dolan is the best option for this Senate race is the fact that he can do a lot better in places like Franklin, Hamilton, Cuyahoga, maybe a place like Summit, Delaware, Montgomery. Fine. All right, let's say these people are right. And Cuyahoga makes sense because is that where he's a state senator from? I believe so. So let's say, for example, and again, this is the election shuffler. Basically, I just adjusted the county map to the results in 2018. So we're assuming 2020 turnout with 2018 results. That means he has to make up 354,000 votes. 354,000 votes he has to make up. So let's just say Cuyahoga. Let's say he does not only the same as Trump, all right? Let's say he does 5 points better than Trump. Instead of losing it by 34, he loses it by 29. Let's be nice to him and say, maybe he pulls off some magic in Cuyahoga. Let's say same thing to Franklin. All right, he does 6 points better. Just keep going. Hamilton. Let's say he does 10 points better in Hamilton, because, it's traditionally more Republican, blah, blah, blah. Oh, look at that. Those 3 counties, despite doing better than Trump 2020 when he won the state by 18, remember that. He's doing better than Trump 2020's counties by 5 to 10 points. He would lose Ohio by 2% or 122,000 votes. Notice a problem. He has to not only pray to God that he does the exact same as Jim Renacci in some of these counties in northeastern Ohio, but also he has to do better than Trump in most of these areas. Let's just keep going. Let's see how much it takes for him to win this state. Delaware. Let's say he does 10 points better, right? Just keep going. Butler. 10 points better. It's a Cincinnati area. Fine. We can keep going, chat. Let's see how far it takes before this guy can actually win. With this, according to these people, the only way to win this Senate seat. So he would do better in every single one of these counties than Trump. But he would still lose by 44,000. Let's say Summit. Right? Summit County. Let's put that there. Still not enough. Let's say he outright wins it by some miracle. That would be what it takes for him to win. For this strategy these people are pushing. For him to win, he needs to do better than Trump by 10 points in Cuyahoga, Hamilton, Montgomery, etc. That's the strategy these people are saying is the reason Matt Dolan is the electable candidate. That is not including a bunch of voters in, well, let's just say Monroe County. Just a good example. From telling him to go F himself and decide to just either not vote for him or vote for Brown. He can do better in the rules because Trump's on the ticket. But I'm just saying, okay, we're just assuming in this scenario that, because people are saying the rules don't matter. There were people on Twitter in my comments saying, no, Northeastern Ohio doesn't matter. We don't need it. The Cuyahoga, Columbus, Dayton, and Hamilton, that's all that matters. He has to outrun Trump by 10 to 15 points in these areas just to win. Pendoc for 2, name of this website, it's Election Daily, Elections Daily Election Shuffler. It's a really cool thing. You could go back to 2012 and all that, but either way, this is the strategy they want to pull. Again, we can't, I don't know what's going to happen in the rural parts to stay with Matt Dolan, but these people said he doesn't need it. They flat out said, we don't need the rural parts. They don't matter. We just need the suburbs. And this is why I'm getting sick and tired of this myth of the suburbs. Because just like Wisconsin, not as extreme as Wisconsin, but very similar. When you include the urban cores, including some of the suburbs, especially the Hamilton County suburbs, this barely makes up 30% of the vote. Barely. Let's see here. Election Twitter people are very selective about which suburbs matter, which don't. Yeah. Because, okay, so these are the suburbs everyone talks about, but what about the suburbs of, let's just say, what's a good example? Lorain County. Trump won this county. It was the first time in many years to vote Republican. Either way, does that not matter when it has a lot of votes? But Medina County, again, I wouldn't consider these the same kind of suburbs as, say, like, Warren or Clermont County, but it just, these people are so selective about what they consider to be a important suburb. Yes, places like Delaware County, Dolan might do better in. But also, at the same time, are you sure he's going to do much better in Summit County? Or even Lake County? A working class suburb? Are you sure he's not going to get crushed in Mahoning? Did you see that California Senate poll? No, I didn't. Rap, I do remember that Trump did better in Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philly, etc. suburbs. Well, not Philly, but yeah, I mean, look at the Pittsburgh suburbs. These used to be Democrat. I mean, I think Gore won Westmoreland, or for sure on Washington. But yeah, there are many suburbs Trump does better in. These are working class areas. They're not Republican suburbs. They were Democrat for decades. Same thing in Cleveland, Ohio. Macomb County in Michigan, the suburb of Detroit. There are suburbs that Trump and work in MAGA Republicans do much better than. Much better than, say, the Bushes of the world, the Matt Dolan's types. And that's the problem, especially in Ohio. This mythical strategy of bank on the suburbs, bank on Cuyahoga, Hamilton, and Franklin. That's going to save us. Yeah, this is really going to save them. Because effectively what they're saying is, we don't need anything else. They need to pray to God. If these areas, they don't get more Democrat. How did DeWine outperform Trump in every rural county, even though he's a perceived moderate and didn't even get 50% of the primary? Two things. One, huge fundraising advantage. Like, he got $50 million and the Democrat had $5 million. Number two, the Democrat was a nobody that didn't campaign. So, and he had a bunch of Dems voting for him. So, that's not a sustainable strategy. Same thing as this one. I mean, do people really want to bank their entire campaigns on what is effectively 40% of the population at most? That's really their plan? That's why I'm sick of these people. Again, I understand where they're coming from saying, well, Matt Dolan right now is polling better than Sherrod Brown. Or better than Bernie Moreno. He's outright winning. Here's a problem with that thinking, though. We've known for a while. Ohio polls early on frickin' suck. Especially like in March. They are notoriously awful. Go back to 2022 with Vance. Go look it up. He was at like 30% for most of the cycle. And you look at what he did and what he won by like 7. The polling throughout the entire cycle before like August, he was getting crushed against Tim Ryan. Stephen Howard for 10. The only truly suburban county in Ohio that is a subject to modern trends is Delaware. It is 57% college educated and growing rapidly. Warren saw a slight drop off from Romney, but nothing concerning. Thank you, by the way. I couldn't say it better. I mean, Delaware and Franklin, that's the one major concern for Republicans in the state. Yes, that's a serious problem for the GOP in the state of Ohio, but it's not going to be enough to flip it. But this is what you consider to be the suburbs people talk about, like in place like Chester County. It's not like Chester County, but that is the best example of what people think of the traditional suburbs. There are suburbs that are working class, but they're ancestrally Democrat. That's a key distinction. Have they been voting Republican for years? Or have they been voting Democrat for decades? Place like Lorain County, yeah, good luck with that one. It's not the traditional suburb people think of. Let's see here. Let's see here. Delaware County is still only about 250,000 people, right? Yeah, it's barely anything. It's what? Trump got 66,000 votes. Yeah, that's nothing. Cincinnati exurbs are almost 1 million combined. Well, if you include, like, yeah, so these rural parts, yeah. But just the collar counties, is it? 100,000? Yeah, no. But if you include the other counties like places like Dayton, yeah. But I'm just trying to explain to people that you cannot bank on this mythical suburban strategy, especially in Ohio. It's not going to work. It just won't. But should we talk about how we would actually win this race? Not this mythical strategy where throw all the logic out the table and say, just run it up in Cuyahoga, which in reality that doesn't make any sense, but that's what they said. Their strategy relies on Hamilton, Franklin, Cuyahoga doing so much better than Trump there, which is unreasonable. And yeah, Trump will carry Ohio. Well, yeah. But we're talking about the Senate race and how stupid some of these people are with these strategies. Ohio is not freaking Illinois with its suburbs. It's not. It's a very blue-collar state. Plus, I mean, let's face it. The election will come down to economic issues like union stuff, free trade, China, and Dolan, especially on China and free trade, he's not good. For Ohio standards, he is awful. And say what you will about Sherrod Brown, he's actually good on the issues. When it comes to the CCP, when it comes to trade, he is one of the only Democrats that's actually good on that front. But outside of that, Brown sucks, and I would support Dolan if he somehow won. But I really do think that these issues such as trade, I think that that's going to be the one, not saying trade exactly, but an issue like trade, that's going to sink him in Ohio. It will. Plus him having a beef with Trump, people are not going to forget about that. And you could combine all of that in a Trump plus 8 state? I don't know. Aside margin of the rules. Well, that's not, according to the people, that's not what matters. What matters is Summit County. What matters is Delaware, which, again, I have proven multiple times. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Cuyahoga, Franklin, Hamilton, and Montgomery, they were combined for 30% of the population, or 30% of the vote. They may combine for like maybe 32 at most, but they don't combine for an outright majority like people think. And when you do the northeastern Ohio, it's like the same amount. So what's the point? Who freaking cares if it's you run a campaign through northeastern Ohio or the 4 big counties if they're both the same, with arguably northeastern Ohio being more important? Because let's face it, these voters are more elastic. These voters are much more swingy. You know what that means? They may vote for Trump at higher rates, but they may vote down ballot Democrat at much higher rates than expected. That's what matters. Do you really think he's going to do 10 points better in Cuyahoga, where Cleveland is? It's working class, but it's still Cleveland. Columbus, good luck. Hamilton, maybe. But do you really expect him to do that much better in those 3 cities? Like 10 points better at the bare minimum? Dolan's courting those Haley voters. He has not endorsed Trump, and when pressed, he always says, I realize Trumpian policy as a deflection. Yeah. So there's just so many question marks about the guy. If he runs a good campaign, I guess, but you just can't bank on this the 3 county strat. It's not going to work. But should we talk about how you actually win? Because you have to make up 354,000 votes in a reasonable time frame, or not time frame, in a reasonable strategy, not some mythical BS where you need to outrun Trump by 20. It's like, you're not doing that. No. Romney would have won Mahoney by 200% if it weren't for radical MAGA election denier Met Paul Ryan. But all right. So let's just say, okay, northeastern Ohio. Good Lord. But just, yeah, include these counties here. Like, this is roughly northeastern Ohio. You might say it's a little bit different, whatever. So, this region, not including Cuyahoga, Trump won it by 247,000 votes. Bernie Moreno, or I should say Jim Renacci, he lost it by 59,000. So according to this math, just northeastern Ohio alone makes up the entire difference for this margin of victory. He did 300,000 votes better here, Sherrod Brown, than Biden. These counties alone, you have to, first of all, you have to somehow win, like, not outright win them, but let us just say he does, he doesn't win them, but he does 5 points worse than Trump. That reasonable? I think it is. I mean, he's still doing 5 points worse than Trump in these counties, but just that alone shifts the race to only 128,000. But the biggest thing is, and the part that no one talks about, look at down here. Look at these counties. Like I said, Monroe County, Trump got 76%. Renacci barely won it. Lawrence County, Renacci got 60%. Trump got 72%. This region down here. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. Found it. This region down here. All he has to do is do better here. Like, he can't get Jim Renacci margins in this part of the state. And let us just say he does. How about this? Good Lord. Brown did 31 points better than Biden here. Good Lord. But let's say he does, Moreno does 8 points worse than, or no. Yeah, 13 points worse than Trump. Now the margin's cut to 65,000 votes. At that point in time, if he's done that, I think he's got it. Because you're talking about areas like in Eastern Ohio or Western Ohio. I highly doubt that if it's Moreno, he sinks that badly. Stephen Howard for 5. Brown's margin, Mahoney fell from plus 37 in 2012 to plus 21 in 2018. Without Trump on the ticket, which is a serious drop in a blue wave without Trump. Well, yeah. I mean, that is a problem for Brown, which I still think that's why he might lose, even against Dolan. But I just want to give the realistic take on how to beat Sherrod Brown. And also these counties, I don't know why they should be Democrat, whatever. There we go. Fixed it. All right, there we go. So you have to make up 76,000 votes. I seriously don't understand these split ticket voters. It makes no logical sense. Well, the thing about these ticket splitter voters is there might be a Democrat down ballot that's more moderate, that they like, or a more Republican candidate that's more moderate. That's why it's like, okay, if there's an extremist on one side, say there's a socialist or whatever, I might vote Biden up ballot, but I might vote for, the Republican down ballot. That's why there is some ticket splitting, but I don't know. Moreno being back, Trump back can make this happen. Well, yeah. I mean, him being backed by Trump, he's still going to do worse than Trump in this part of the state. But it's a realistic scenario where he just has to do a couple points and just say he does, this part of the state here. Northwestern Ohio. Just all of this. Good Lord. Once again, he lost by, he did 170,000 votes better than Biden. Let's just say he does 7 points worse than Trump. That alone, actually that should be, whoops, that's wrong. There we go. Something like that. That alone would give him just a bare, absolute slight victory. And we'll just fix some of these areas so people don't complain that, oh, no county's going to shift under Biden or whatever, or under Moreno, I should say. But even then, that gives Bernie Moreno the win. In a realistic sense, there's no freaking 15-point swing in Cuyahoga, which is insane for some people. But there's no 30-point swing in Franklin. There's no crazy swing in Hamilton. All Moreno has to do, which I hope's the nominee, is that. Is this really unrealistic of Bernie Moreno? That's not even including, Summit, Lorraine, or actually, yeah, that does, but that's not even including him possibly doing better in Cuyahoga. That's without the biggest county in the state. And you can also say makeshift Republican. Either way, that's it. That's still with him doing awful in the Cincinnati area. Him doing pretty bad in some of Appalachia. 20 points worse even. That's the way you beat Brown. Not through frickin' Cuyahoga. You win through northeastern Ohio, of parts of Appalachia, and just don't crap the bed in the rest of the state. That's it. That's how you beat him. Is this some complicated conspiracy for some people that, no, you need to do 30 points better in Summit County? Even if you do 2 points worse here, a point worse here, there, etc., it's still enough. It will be just enough, but it would be a victory for Moreno. And that's just a basic mathematical problem for Brown. Because Bernie Moreno is the Trump candidate. I don't think running as, well, he's the MAGA extremist is a good idea. I don't think it is. I think him being the Trump candidate, running on being the Trump guy, it's going to neglect some of these fall-offs in places like Mahoning County. Stephen Howard for 2. Do you consider Moreno the favorite on Tuesday? That's a tricky one. And also Matt Dolan, you can make an argument that Matt Dolan, maybe he does good in places like Summit. I think he does, I guess. But the problem is, would there be enough rural vote for him to be excited for the guy? The guy's anti-Second Amendment, has a bad record on abortion, pro-Ukraine funding. The guy is a China shill. I mean, the guy's has finances with China, but says, oh, I actually don't know about that. Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, buddy, sure. Anyone who knows anything about Ohio politics knows that Moreno is more electable than Dolan. Yeah. Again, these are not unreasonable things I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's 100% guarantee Moreno wins, but just looking at how demographics vote in Ohio, what the demographics are of the state. This suburb or bust strategy doesn't work in Ohio. I just demonstrated that. You need to do 10 points better than Trump in most of these areas for it to maybe work in a best case scenario, right? Right? Yeah, right here. For you to win with the same rural margins, you have to have this happen. 20 points better in most of these areas. Oops, wrong thing. So it reminds me of Daniel Cameron, who campaigns everywhere but Appalachian lost. Yeah, that's a problem with the strategy. It's not the Ohio of 2004. 2004, you could have got away with it. Like, doing good in Hamilton, doing good enough in Franklin, just don't get killed in northeastern Ohio. But this strategy, you need to run it up in the entire Cincinnati area, run it up in Franklin, pray to God you can do way better in Cuyahoga, and don't get crushed in a place like Mahoning. Even in the scenario he does. Brown's biggest problem is that he needs to convince 500,000 Trump voters to either vote for him or not vote for Moreno. It'd be way easier with Dolan than Moreno. Yeah. Because you can attack Moreno on a lot of this stuff, but if he just runs as a Trump-endorsed guy in a state that Trump's going to win by 10 points, just for example, do you really think there'd be enough ticket splitting in that scenario? I don't know. But with Matt Dolan, we know he doesn't like Trump. I mean, he was anti-Trump back in 2022. But, he suddenly realized his policies are good. No, you just want to win an election. Let's see. If they call him MAGA extremists, Ohio goes blood red because they love Trump. That is the worst idea for anyone to run on when running against a Republican in Ohio. Well, these people on Twitter are saying that no, that's actually a bad thing for Moreno, that the Democrats want Moreno. That might be true, but you're telling me in a Trump plus 8 state it's a bad idea, it's somehow a good idea for Dems to, tell Republicans that Bernie Moreno is the Trump candidate. Don't vote for him. Or go vote for the guy or something. Let's see. Duster Carter for 2. Cameron collapsed in rules of West and Central Kentucky. Yeah, that's why you lost. Tony Robinson for 5. Excited to see an election that gets counted one night. It's not going to happen this year, but we should know who the winner is by midnight, I assume. If Ohio had runoffs, then I doubt Dolan would even have a shot at winning the primary. Well, if you have a bunch of Democrats voting, maybe. But, yeah. How much would Dolan get in Cuyahoga in the primary? Probably like 70%, right? Then he got like 50%, I think, last time around. I don't know. That's a tricky one. Uh, yeah, but Brown's biggest problem, and I agree with this, he has to find a way to flip 500,000 Trump voters. I mean, tell them either vote for him or just not vote. Against Dolan, that's much easier. People got to understand that, hey, you could say Matt Dolan, you know, he's the moderate, but if he's vehemently anti-Trump in Ohio, I don't know if that's a good strat. I don't think it is. And the problem with Dolan is his strategy might work in a best case scenario, but what happens if he doesn't get the numbers he needs out of Summit County? Just an example. What if he just does awful here? Well, at that point, he's done. That's a whole problem with the strategy. And I'm trying to tell people, why do you want to waste the rest of the state where you can do way better than 2018? You don't have to do better than Trump. Just don't suck everywhere and you'll be fine. Why are you so worried about, well, we have to run it up in Cuyahoga? Why? Dude, yeah, fine, do better than 2018, but you don't have to outright do 15 points better here. Just do good enough in these areas. Don't collapse like Jim Renacci did. And you have a shot of winning. It seemed like the DeSantis Dolan people don't understand that Trump is trying to play chess, not checkers. People need to understand that we have to dance to get what we want, huh? You think Ohio is going for red for just this election or a long time? I think it's pretty much gone for Dems. Moreno needs to focus on his differences with Dolan on foreign policy and his... Alright, yeah. I agree with that. Because Dolan has garbage foreign policy. Pretty bad, pretty bad. But yeah, just, again, I'm not attacking people for believing that Dolan could win. I can understand where they're coming from, but the way they say he can win, that just infuriates me. It's like, what? Do you really think every state's like Illinois where the rules make up 2% of the population? I don't know. Can we consider LaRose just be a spoiler at this point? I agree. Yes. LaRose taken more of, I would say more Moreno support. Universe 7 scum for 11 euros. There's this Liz Cheney type candidate in Ohio's second primary, banking on a MAGA vote split. Can you please pull up this campaign website, look on in horror? Search Phil. Okay, I'll look this up. How bad is this? Chat, what is this? Do I want to know? Surely this can't be surely this can't be awful, right? Oh man, this is gonna absolutely suck, won't it? Okay. Buffalo Rose screws us. Well, we gotta get behind Dolan, but these people that think that Dolan's just gonna magically win because of suburbs are dumb. Okay, let's see here. What the? What is this? I'm Phil Heimlich, a lifelong Republican. I'm running for Congress to bring integrity and respect back to our party. Oh, good Lord. The anti-MAGA Republican. Bro, what? I gotta look this. Nah. What's his issues page like? What the hell is this about Phil? Let's look at this chat. What? Bro. Yeah, Ohio's an open primary. Good Lord. I believe our democracy is at risk from the MAGA movement. I pledge to protect it. We grew up learning how our founding fathers fought for liberties and rights we enjoy today. That includes the right to free press, free and fair elections, and holding corrupt leaders accountable. It's our duty to fight to hold on to these freedoms. What? Oh, man. His issues page, what is it like? Beating inflation, no one freaking cares. Respecting the law. Let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. January 6th, of course. Protecting our democratic freedoms. Our founding fathers said we are a government of laws, not men. Those on the extremes of our political system are trying to peel away our rights to free speech, free and fair elections, and freedom of religion. In recent years, former democracies like Hungary and Turkey... Wait, what? former democracies in Hungary and Turkey. Bro. Are you kidding me? Bro. This former democracy. What are you talking about? Hungary and Turkey. You're telling me those were democracies? What? I missed that. I don't remember that happening. What? Bro. This can't be real. This has to be a parody, right? Good lord. He's a college professor in orbit. Yeah, that's what he sounds like. Oh, man. Maybe an argument for Turk, but Hungary. Yeah, sure. Let's see here. Is there anything else? That's it? Not long ago, political leaders had the strength of character to respectfully disagree with one another and govern with malice towards none. As Abraham Lincoln said today, today weak leaders resort to abusive bullying and profane language and lies to gain power by any means necessary. Oh, like you're doing? Like you're attacking people for being MAGA? I mean, this is the funny thing about these, you know, pro-democracy candidates. By the way, nothing on the border. These clowns say we need to bring back respectability and accountability to office. But also, we're going to attack half the country for having a slightly different political opinion than us. But we're the ones fighting for democracy, everyone. Unfreaking believable. Turkey literally has elections in 2 weeks. Oh, man. He reminds me of that Republican socialist that ran in Kansas at one point. Wait, what? A Republican that ran in Kansas? There's no way that's real. Yeah, the guy's probably going to win. We're going to have to deal with him then. Good lord. There was a Republican socialist that ran. Who? I gotta see this guy. Aw, there's no website. I'm not making an anti-endorsement against Phil Hellmuth. Yeah, I mean, like, what is he even talking about? The former democracies, Hungary. I'm sure of it. Is that David French? Sounds like it. Duster Carter for 2. What's some radical legislation or policy would you consider? Well, when you say radical, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean by radical? Do you mean like, you know, like immigration moratorium, I guess, if you're talking about that? But, I don't know. Papa Follett would have been proud. Oh, man, I just can't believe there are Republicans like that. The pro-democracy candidate that frickin' hates anyone that disagrees with them. Just the irony of that is unbelievable. Oh, we want democracy, but we'll attack half the country for disagreeing with us. Oh, man. We better not get stuck with that bozo. Anti-MAGA Trump / GOP plus 25. Sure, that's going to go well. Well, the Democrats going to vote in the primary. I guarantee it. Duster Carter for 2. Like something if things get bad enough. Well, I don't know. Like that's such a hypothetical thing where I can't really say anything about that. Like I'm sorry not to answer the question, but I just don't really know. Like, it has to be something I can't really think of anything. Hold on. This Phil guy said to vote for Tim Ryan. Of course he did. He's one of those clowns. We need to bring back democracy, so we're gonna vote for the person that's not gonna do so. Oh, man. Liz Cheney 2.0. Yeah, it is Liz Cheney 2.0. Derek Myers literally raised $2 in his district. Oh, he did? That's it? Derek Myers sucks. Matt Dolan's the only candidate who could beat Sherrod Brown. I just proved that, you know, he can. I mean, he can, but to say he's the only one that, he can win through the suburbs, that's no. I just did a whole stream proving that, hey, his strategy of just win it through Cuyahoga is not going to do anything. Can we just blacklist any Biden Republican? Yes, we should. All right, if anyone got any more super chats, any more questions, concerns, comments, begin sending them now. I just can't believe there's a pro-democracy Republican that said ban half the or like basically ban half the country for having a different belief than them. Hey Rob, can we get a look at Brown's 2012 margin, who he ran against? Oh yeah, sure, I know what you're talking about. Let's see. New York Times 2012 Ohio Senate. We all know this was we all know who this guy was. Wrong one. Yep, Josh Mandel. We all know about it. Let me pull this up. Okay. Let's see. There's an article in local Kansas news about that represent Republican socialist. His name is Brian Matlock. Just Google Republican socialist Kansas. The article will drop up or pop up. That's weird. Yeah. Once again, look at this difference. Just look at the difference between this presidency and the Senate map. He does so much better in the suburbs. Ah, yes. I could see where I could tell that he runs it up through Hamilton County. I'm sure of it. He does slightly better, but look at some of these areas. Yeah, right. Freaking unbelievable. Let's see. I'm a Republican socialist. Moreno could win, but Dolan more likely. I mean, you could say he could win, but to say that he's 100% guarantee that Moreno is zero shot is just stupid. And say that's because the suburbs is like, what are you talking about? Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy the stream, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated, and yeah, thank you all so much.